Test, test. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. You ready to get started today?
I am.
Okay, how'd your interview go?
It was good. Yeah, she's. I mean, she already is a pediatric assistant, and so you're talking about the assistant that I was interviewing.
Yeah, I think you said yesterday, right?
Yeah. So we met for coffee, and she seems pretty good. I mean, she works for another pediatric dentist that I know. Um, Full time, but she's available, Saturdays and then some Fridays. So um, I still don't really know how I'm going to find people that will be available to work, start working a little bit. And then, like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm actually able to, eventually I want to be working the Monday, Friday, and Saturday. But
Hmm.
I I don't, but the people that I'm looking at aren't available then. And I can't find anybody for the front. So I don't know. It's a big mess, but we'll see because people need full time jobs. So I don't really know. It's a big question mark right now.
Yeah, that is hard. You would think that, you'd find maybe people with small kids or something that would prefer to do something part-time, but I know that's a struggle. I'm trying to think, there's an app, Dent, Dent Post or Dental Post or
Yeah, someone told me about that, and I'm actually going to go to that today.
Yeah, and then they you can set filters. So if you're someone that's looking for part-time, you can set your filters and it'll only pull up part-time jobs and you can even like pick the days that you're available. So that might help narrow stuff down too.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Good. That's good to know. I'll go to that.
Okay, well, you ready to do your review?
Let's do it.
All right, I think you're going to do just fine on this today. We're going to do your review, and then once you're ready to see patients, they'll go ahead and your database will be live, and then we'll do your advanced sessions after you start seeing patients.
Okay.
So this will be the last one in your boot camp, okay?
Okay.
And then, like we talked about before, the next one after this is going to be a shadow session. Everybody kind of thinks it's weird because they're like, well, what are you going to do? So basically, trainer doesn't really do anything. We just sit on hold on GoToMeeting. And then if you have any issues in those first couple of days, we're there. So you can show us your screen real quick or just ask a really quick question while you have a patient in front of you, just as some extra help.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, is there any training or anything for like the online forums and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We can actually set that up after this one if you want to.
Okay.
We do additional trainings if you want for forms. If you're doing electronic prescriptions, we can do them for e-prescribe. And then imaging, once you have your sensor set up, if you need some extra help with imaging, we can schedule trainings for that. And that's all included in your training curriculum. So
Okay.
there's not like an extra charge or anything.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. A couple things we're going to go over today is appointment scheduling, checking in a patient, front office procedures, back office procedures, checking out a patient, billing insurance, and community. So basically, this review, I'm just going to take you through a general workflow and we're going to just walk through it step by step from the beginning all the way to the end. Make sure that you don't have any questions and to make sure that you're really familiar with where to find everything.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hand controls over to you.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect. And then go ahead and get over to curve for me. Okay, perfect. So let's see. Have we added your son into this database yet? Have we added Theo?
I don't think so.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll pretend that I'm gonna call you and I'm gonna set up an appointment for Theo. Okay,
Okay.
so he's a brand new patient. Do you remember where to go to add in a new patient?
Um, I think you can just put the plus, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And now up at the top there, you have contact as a patient. You can switch that from patient to non-patient too. So in your office, are you going to be adding parent first or are you going to be adding child first?
Um, Probably parent first.
Okay. So then if parent is not a patient, you would switch that over to non-patient. Okay. And then go ahead and add in just some general details here. We'll do it like it's Brooke. So it's Theo's mom. So go ahead and add in her first and last name. Okay. You can put her real birth date or make one up, whatever you want to do there.
Okay.
Okay. Same thing for phone number, just maybe just a home phone will be good or a cell phone.
Okay.
And then make up an email address for her or put her actual one in.
I can just put in. It's our PO box.
Y'all are in Kentucky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oops.
Perfect. And now let's say that she is going to have insurance for Theo. So we'll go ahead and say yes. And you can just make up a social for her. And then, of course, if this insurance is going to be one that you're going to be accepting payments from, you'll leave all of these marked as yes.
Mm-hmm.
A common question is, don't they have to sign a consent form or something to authorize the benefits and the signature and assignment of benefits? And the answer is yes, they will need to sign some sort of consent to make that legal. For now, while you're making the appointment, go ahead and mark it as yes, anticipating that you'll have a paragraph or something in your new patient paperwork stating that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and say save. Oh,
Oh, I'll put it in our other one. Okay. Oops. Okay.
okay. Okay, so we have her in here. Now, let's go ahead and add Theo in as a patient. And then for responsible party, go ahead and put mom in there.
Oops. That's
Yeah,
what I meant.
there you go. Now remember, we customize this in your live database, so this should be a little bit different um, in your live database and the options you're getting here. If you don't like what you have in your live database, remember you can go into administration and change it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. And then you can just save. Okay, so now mom called. She wants to set up an appointment. This is going to be the initial kind of information that you're gathering from her. Is there anything else that you're going to want to have right off the bat um, before you actually schedule the appointment? Any of these other fields that you'll want to be filled out?
Um, Medical alerts probably.
And you're going to ask that over the phone?
Um, well, I would only say if they were special needs, because
Okay.
that I would need extra time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a good one. And remember too, that client number field, that's a great place to put something like special needs or disability or anything like that because it shows up right here on the screen. So if you do need to appoint extra time for him, you'll be able to see that note on there.
Got it.
Exactly.
Even though he's
So don't
not.
forget that is that's a good place for that. Okay.
Ridiculously smart.
There you go. And then if you'll scroll up to the top of this page, remember that the birth date sets the dentition. So I think we added birth date in your live database, but it's not in this one. So go ahead and put his birthday in.
Oops, it's 20th. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's it, but I may be a day off.
That's no problem. Okay, and then head of household, let's go ahead and put Brooke as his head of household. So you'll click on the line that says head of household. Oh, yeah, that one. Sorry. And you'll notice whenever you did that, your copy household information turned blue. So don't forget that you can click on that and you can transfer over any of her information that you want to copy onto his profile.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So now let's go ahead and go back to the schedule. We've gotten all of our information. We're going to make an appointment for him.
Let's make it for next Monday.
That sounds good.
Yay.
And now go ahead and put in here any procedures that you typically would do for a new patient of this age in your office.
I think it's that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, now I saw you kind of hover over the tag. I'm glad to see that you remembered that that was there. Especially in your description, you have new patient exam 1 to 3-year-old. So if that's going to change based off of the age of the child, go ahead and set up tags for your new patient exams for each age range.
Okay.
That way, especially with you hiring all new staff and everything, it really simplifies things for them not to have to search for procedures and possibly forget something or put something in wrong. If your tag's set up, it'll automatically pull it up there.
Okay.
Okay. The fees over here in your live database, you'll put in your fee, your actual fees. So the fees should transfer over. You shouldn't have to enter them here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And if you wanted to add a note about Theo's appointment, maybe it's his first dental visit or something like that. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Perfect. And now if you can't see the bottom of this, you can go up to the, yep, you can do that, or you can hover where it says note added on 8/2/2017 by admin staff, and you'll get little crosshairs that you can move that box around.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, very good.
And this is the one where it turns into an asterisk, right? Yeah.
That's right. That was actually what I was going to ask you. How do you know there's a note in there?
Yeah.
Now, some offices want their notes to be a little bit more visible, depending on your colors that you chose to. That asterisk, you might not be able to see it all that well. So what I usually recommend is if you want kind of a more obvious way to know that there's a note in there, you could put the word note in a description. So where you put new patient exam, just before that, you could put note.
Okay.
So that's another way that you can do it. Remember, though, if you print out any kind of receipts or anything for this patient, their next visits show on the bottom of the receipt. And what's listed there is the description that you put in. So don't put anything like caution, mom challenging, or something like that, because your patient will be able to see it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now we'll say that it's Monday. Theo comes in. Actually, no, let's backtrack. We're going to go ahead and put in some insurance for him. We verified all of his insurance.
Okay.
And so we need to put that in. Okay. And what's a common employer in your area?
Ford.
Ford. Go ahead and search for it just to make sure it's not already in your system. Yep, exactly.
Okay.
There we go. You can choose either of those is fine. Oh, yeah, that's the one we worked with, the high and low option.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. And now where his subscriber name is, we're going to change it from Theo over to Brooke. Awesome. And then you can make up a subscriber ID.
Okay.
Okay, now remember, if this is not a calendar year, if it's a fiscal year plan, you can change that renewal date from January to whatever date or whatever month the plan starts in.
Okay.
Majority of plans are calendar years, so you mostly won't have to worry about that, but there are a fair number of fiscal year plans. Same thing for policy started on date, that's the effective date. So if you know it, awesome, go ahead and put it in. If you don't know it, you can leave it as the date that you're entering the insurance.
Okay.
Okay. Policy ends on, if patient tells you when their policy is going to end, you can put it in. If you're not sure, you don't have to fill that out ever.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Card sequence dependent code and member identifier, only if you have it. I've only seen a couple of plans that you actually even have that information. It's usually on the card. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. If you have it, go ahead and fill it out.
Okay.
And then relationship to subscriber, you'll want to make sure to change relationship to subscriber at the bottom.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. And then if you would like to just get in the habit of clicking on edit plan just to check the benefits and make sure that it matches up with what you verified from insurance, you can do that at this point. If you don't change anything, then you can just say cancel. If you change something, make sure to save it. Okay.
Preventative is usually not, right?
Usually isn't. Yep. And then I see that the fee guides aren't entered in here, I think
Nope.
because we were just running through practicing. So if you wanted to put in fee guides, you could. Otherwise, if everything else looks good, then you could just save it when you're done.
Let's put preventative 80%. Oh, whoops. And note.
Yep. Are you going to be doing any ortho in your office?
No, but if I refer it, well, I do. I actually phase one ortho, so if I, like expanders, palatal
Okay.
expanders, things like that. So just basic expansion. So nothing. No, I wouldn't do any brackets or headgear or anything like that.
It is always good just to have the note, like you said, even if you're just referring it. That way you can give patient an idea of what their insurance looks like. The last office I worked in, my doctors they were general dentists, but they did, implants and ortho. And I remember when I first started at the office, I thought, man, their ortho is so expensive. They charge so much. But then I started realizing how much time ortho cases take up. I mean, patients are there
Oh
they had
yeah.
them coming in every 2 weeks. And, lots of times more often than that, if a bracket came off or if something needed to be adjusted. So it really took up a lot of time that wasn't billable. So all of that, the fees for that were all in the first treatment plan.
Oh, absolutely.
Once I saw it play out, it made more sense.
The what's division again?
Divisions used in Canada, you won't have to fill that out.
Okay. Save
Okay.
time. Okay.
All right. Perfect. Now remember where you just made those changes. It's fine the way you did it. You did a great job. But just remember that if you ever go in to verify that what you have listed for your insurance is the coverage that's in the system, if it doesn't match, you'll want to find out why instead of changing it. Because if you change it, what if everybody that has this Ford Motor Company high option does have 100% coverage?
Got it.
Now they're all changed to 180/50. So remember that changes for everyone that has this insurance. That's what the pop-up said whenever it popped up. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. So is there a way to just switch it for that one person if I would have pushed no, or
No, you would have had to, instead of changing the percentages, you would have had to get out of it and search, and it probably would have been the Ford Motor Company low.
Got it.
So it's fine that you chose this one because we want to see copays and stuff anyways in insurance. But just for, in real life, whenever you're doing that, make sure your front office isn't changing it inside the plan unless it's actually changed for everyone. If Ford only had one plan and they changed their coverage from 100% to 180/50, then change it for everyone. But if patient has an option to choose a high or a low plan, you'll need to search for the other plan or create a brand new one.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and say add policy. Perfect. So now his policy is listed there. He's listed under Brooke, so that's awesome. And we'll go ahead and go back over to our schedule. And now keep in mind that usually he won't just be pulled up here as the active patient. So you had him scheduled on August 7th. And whenever you want to pull him up, you would just click once on his appointment and it would make him the active patient. So that'll be a little bit different outside of training, but you can just click on the appointment once and then it'll change it for you.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and say mom came in. She filled out paperwork, whether it was electronic forms or paper forms, and we're going to go ahead and check him in. If the forms were electronic, you would be able to see from the Sidekick that those were completed. You would be able to view them or print them out for mom or whatever you needed to do. She wouldn't need to bring anything in with her. If the forms are paper, do you remember where to store paper forms or any kind of paper notes or records about your patient?
Files and
Exactly.
letters.
Files and letters. That's right. So that's going to be your storage for anything that you need to scan in for your patient: military IDs, driver's licenses, insurance cards, anything like that.
Okay.
Okay.
What do
Okay.
people normally use for is there I mean, you could use any printer scanner, or is there a specific one that people use normally that
Most offices just use a normal printer scanner that scans right into the hard drive on your computer.
okay.
Some offices, if they're more high tech, sometimes they'll have like a desktop scanner that goes directly into Curve so that you don't have to upload from your hard drive, but that's not very common at all.
Okay.
Okay. If you are buying equipment and you're wanting to make sure that something is compatible or you want to find out what integrates, you can always call customer service before you buy something and just double check, hey, I'm looking at this scanner. Is that going to integrate? Okay. Does it take any special setup? And they'll be able to tell you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we checked him in. We're going to go ahead and take him back to the back so you can do his exam. So let's click on his charting module.
Okay.
Perfect. Oh, look at his little baby
Yeah,
dentitions.
he's cute.
So cute. Okay, so so adorable. The first thing you'll want to do is check to make sure that all of the teeth that are listed as erupted actually are erupted. So this isn't always going to match for every child. So do you remember where to go to change it? Exactly. Good job.
Yeah. Rotated. So boop, 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 boop. Okay.
Okay, perfect. And now, if this was a child that was older that was coming to you from another office and maybe they already had sealants or they already had fillings or something like that, where would you go to chart procedures? Good job. Yep. You would go right here. And then remember up at the top of this filter box, when you're in history, you can click on your name as the provider, where right now it says doctor, training doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and you can change that to other practice so that it's automatically marked that that was done somewhere else.
And I forgot, are we putting like if they come in with existing caries or conditions, are you putting that in as history or in planning?
You would put that in as planning.
Okay.
Yep. History would just be like if they had sealants done somewhere else or if they had a filling or something like that.
Okay. Should I pretend that he had a little filling already done?
Sure, let's do that.
God forbid.
I
Yeah.
know.
Let's go. Let's say he had a lingual on P. Okay.
And see, they'd know that he was a dentist's son because that's always the kids with the worst teeth.
Always, always, right.
A hygienist that I worked with, her son had like, I don't know, 12 cavities one time. And I
Oh my
was like, you're
gosh.
a hygienist. How is that possible? She said, he doesn't like to brush his teeth. I was like, oh
Oy.
my goodness. The shoemaker with no shoes, right?
Right, exactly. There we go. 3 cavities. Okay,
There we go.
good.
Okay, so we have them all listed here. They're all listed under other practice. If you needed to make notes about this, maybe mom, said that it was due to having milk bottles at night, or that the last dentist made her feel bad about them, or any kind of notes that you want to put, you'll just right click. Yep, and then add a note, and you can add notes specifically to this history.
Mm.
Very good.
Mhm.
Perfect. And then that note's automatically tagged as clinical history too. So at any time, even if you're not in the charting, you can go over to your notes module, change the filter for the clinical history tag, and you can see all your notes that were tagged to his history.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and do his exam. Let's switch over to planning. Okay. And now what's the first thing you do when you come into charting to do a new treatment plan?
Um, the first thing, you mean after I see what's erupted and what's not?
Yep. Like as you're going to do
Add a
your
visit?
charting and create a treatment plan, add a card. Yep. That's exactly
Okay.
right. So every new treatment plan needs a new card. It would be really great if you would train your assistants as soon as they come in here before you even start calling out treatment from your exams, that they go ahead and just open up a new card right away.
Okay.
Okay. If they were to inadvertently put something in the scheduled card, remember that goes into today's appointment. Nothing is broken at that point. They would just have to go through the steps afterwards to add a new card and then separate the cards and move the treatment out of the scheduled card into a treatment plan. Just takes a little bit longer.
Okay. So now this is really
Okay.
plan 1, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it is plan 1.
Yeah.
I think it comes up as plan 2 because that scheduled tab is there. So maybe I don't know. I can't
Can
explain it,
you
but yes, that's
can,
plan 1.
can you rename? Can you create a label? And
You should be able to rename it. Click on it again.
should I write?
Right click. Yeah. Nope, that's not what we're looking for. Can you right click on visit 1?
There we go.
There we go.
It's weird with the Mac. It's anyway.
It's touchy, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. All right, so now we have his visit listed here. So anything that you chart at this point will go into this treatment plan visit. You can print out a treatment plan for him. You can do whatever you need to do up to that point. So let's go ahead and chart some procedures for him.
Let's
You can
see.
do whatever you'd like. Maybe make something kind of extensive on tooth O. Maybe he needs like a
A
baby
pub.
root canal or something.
Yeah. Okay. So. Bum, 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 bum.
Okay, so this is common with pedo offices. Some of your codes might not be in the procedure filter box.
Mhm.
At this point, you can add them in via new line item. So if you move your mouse down under visit 1, your option will pop up there. Yep. And then you can just search for it. If you want to change that doctor, get your live database pulled up and call customer service, and they'll be able to walk you through how to link a pulpotomy, a stainless steel crown, these different options specifically for your practice into that filter box.
Okay.
Okay. So just know that you can change it. Just you'll need to call them, that way they help you change it in the right format.
What is this?
That is the tooth. Oh
Oh,
no,
it's
that's
units.
units of time.
Yeah.
So how long is the procedure going to take?
Actually, whoops. Wrong thing. delete it. I think it's 2390 maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So now if you needed to separate these out, if you saw that you needed to do the pulpotomy and then do the crown or something along those lines, remember you can grab these procedures and drag them down to put them in a new visit.
Okay.
So if you needed multiple visits for one treatment, you can do that. Do you remember how to expand this card so that you can see more treatment if you had more listed? Do you remember how to make the card bigger?
Um,
We have the right idea. So that's how you'll separate your cards.
okay.
Go ahead and drag it down, back down to the bottom. Perfect. And then to make the card bigger, you'll go over to the 3 orange lines on the left-hand side. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Perfect. Okay. Now, if mom says, so you do your exam, you explain to mom what's going on with Theo, mom is pretty concerned. What if she said she wanted to get started today? How would you put it on today's visit? Do you remember?
We would put it into. Well, you mean that's once we complete it.
Right. So to put it into today's visit, into the schedule tab, you'll pull up on the tab where it says Plan 1 and separate the cards just like you did a minute ago.
Oh, okay. And then.
And then you have your schedule tab so you could drag treatment down.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Why did it do all
Yep.
that? Oh, because it was scheduled anyway.
Right. It was already scheduled.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. And then let's go over to today's schedule. Let's take a look at how this looks in the appointment. Or sorry, the 7th. Yep. So if you double click on that appointment, it'll open it up and you'll see that all those procedures have updated.
Okay.
So everything's in there now. So again, if they don't open up a new card, everything that they treatment plan is going to go into today's appointment. So just be cautious of that.
Okay.
Okay? All right, perfect. You can go ahead and say okay.
Gotta add a new note. Yeah.
Perfect. Poor Theo. He has such an extensive dental history
I
already.
know. Hold on.
Poor
Hold on.
baby.
I have to plug in my computer. Let me grab my power cord. Hold on one sec.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. So let's go ahead and go back into his charting.
Theo just woke up too.
I know, I heard him in the background.
Yeah, we're actually at Brooke's parents' place in Bedford, Indiana. so it's like right
Oh my.
next door. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and complete treatment. So he went ahead and got all of his treatment done. Do you remember how to mark it as completed?
Yep. Let's see, visit two. No, it's visit one. So we drag them down to complete, right?
You can drag and drop it if it will let you. Sometimes the resolution on your screen kind of prevents that from working well.
Okay.
So you can try to do it that way and see if it works.
Can I shift and hold all? No.
No, I don't think so. I
Okay.
think you have to do each one.
Oops. Let me.
No,
Oops. Is it? I don't know. Is it doing it?
it doesn't look like it.
Oh, whatever. Okay.
Okay, the other way is exactly you can right click and then click on complete visit.
Okay.
And then down at the bottom, you can click on the screen where it says completed and it'll pull up all of your completed treatment. So if you completed something by accident or if the wrong thing went in there, you need to make any changes before you check the patient out, you can drag that back up. You'll actually right click and it'll say return to visit or return to plan. Yeah, and then it'll put it back up in the card for you.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go ahead and complete that again. Just right click and complete it on that visit there. Okay, perfect. So now it'll show up front that that visit is completed. Or if you're in the beginning stages and you're checking patients out yourself in the back, remember that you can right click on the completed visit down at the bottom
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get the option to check out from the back as well.
Okay.
Okay, so you can do it either way. If you need to check out yourself, you can do that. If they're doing it up front, they'll be doing it from the appointment.
Okay.
Okay, for now, let's go ahead and say checkout visit from here. That's going to bring you over into the billing module. You have one last chance to check over everything and make sure that everything is complete. So tooth numbers are correct, surfaces are correct, codes are correct. If everything looks good, you can go ahead and say okay. Perfect. And now, how much is the patient going to owe for this treatment? Or how much is mom supposed to pay?
$552.40.
Perfect. And what are we expecting from insurance?
173.60.
Awesome. Okay. So mom tells you she's going to go ahead and pay her 552. So let's post a payment for Theo there. Yep, very good. Did you ever get your bluefin questions worked out?
Um. Yes, I did. I haven't set it up yet, but it. He basically was like, "Nope, we're not negotiating. This is what it is. Tough shit." So it's like, just out of principle, I don't want to do it, but we'll see.
I think that's the military side of you, doctor.
It is absolutely.
All
So
right. So for now, let's go ahead and say Visa. Okay. Now remember, if the payment's 552, that's perfect. You don't have to do anything else. You can just say okay. If mom was paying, maybe she said, today I only have $300. Then you could change that amount to 300. You wouldn't have to do anything with the blue full amount that shows there to the right. You could just put in $300 and that would override the full amount and it would post $300 for her.
okay.
Okay. Okay. So go ahead and say okay. And then let's send an insurance claim for this procedure. And you can just send to batch if it's a straightforward claim. If you need to put any kind of narrative or anything like that, you can send an advance claim. That way you have the option to put a narrative and attach any x-rays or anything that you need to attach.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Once you're all set up with NEA, you'll click on Add Attachments. NEA does their own little training on how to actually put those attachments in. So they'll let you know how to do that. And then, yep, we learned about the ICD codes last time. I
Mm-hmm.
remember.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, at least one line I must use the primary code. Actually, no. This one will be clear. It'll be that one. And that one.
Perfect.
And
Okay.
let's add one more.
Okay.
F41.9. So that's anxiety, so that'll be for nitrous. There you go.
Awesome.
Yep. And
Okay. And then where do you go to put your narrative?
note.
That's right. Good job.
Um, okay.
Awesome. All right. Now, if you needed to send this as a manual claim, you could click on manual claim and it would print it out, or it would show it on your screen so you could print it. For now, let's go ahead and send it to batch. And of course, you're probably going to get an error message. I hate those error
I
messages.
hate those messages.
They really bother me. Okay. So now we've done all this. Let's say mom's kind of hovering around and she tells you she needs a receipt for her payment if we didn't print one out. So do you know how to print out a receipt at this point?
Here.
Not quite. That's close. So go ahead and right click on your invoice. And then actually on your payment, I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go.
And then, yep, and then you can print a receipt.
Cool.
It's going to come up in a PDF format so you can print it off from there.
Mhm.
And then if you notice down at the bottom of that, you have a next appointment section. So that's what I was talking about earlier with the descriptions on the appointment. You'll want to make sure that you don't put anything, any kind of private notes or anything in that description because mom will be able to see that.
Right.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So you can just close out of this when you're done looking.
Okay.
If she needed a statement for the entire account. So if Theo had, 6 or 7 invoices in here and she needed kind of a comprehensive statement for insurance or something along those lines, then you could click on print statement. If she needed a tax receipt, you could click on print tax receipt, and that will include the codes, the dates of service, the fees. It'll have your office information, and you can put start date and end date.
Okay.
So this isn't really super common, but I know at the end of the year, patients start calling and coming in because they need their tax receipts for tax purposes. So just know that there is a special function for that will show them everything they need for their taxes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I guess that would
So
be for like HSA maybe, and
right. If they need something for their HSA or flex spending accounts or something like that, you have those 2 options and it'll print it out a little bit differently to give them all the information they need.
okay.
Now you might still have patients that say, okay, I submitted that to my employer and they need more information. And I know in the last office I worked in, that was very, very common. So you might have to come up with a letter template that just has the most common things that they ask for, and you'll have to type it up. Your front desk will have to type it up if their employer is really super specific. But sometimes I think that's more patient error than the employer actually being specific. So
Okay.
hopefully between the statement and the tax receipt, you won't have to do that, but you might run into that.
Okay.
Okay, so now we see that he has a balance still of 173. Looks like that's coming from insurance. So let's assume that we did get the payment back from insurance. So we'll go ahead and post a payment.
Okay.
Okay,
From insurance company.
good job. Yep. And now it's going to pull up to where you can either put a blanket amount 173.60 and it'll apply the payment. And you can see by line item where it's applying that payment. If that is not correct according to the EOB that you have. You can change this by line item by just simply clicking on the payment amount over on the right and entering it by line item. And we
Okay.
talked about that a little bit before. If you look at it and everything looks good, there's no reason to go through and enter those again by line item. It would only be if there's a change.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's one of
All
those
right.
where I
And
can get the electronic EOBs.
yes, most insurances do offer electronic EOBs. I think some don't. So, but for the most part, yeah, you'll be able to.
Okay.
Okay. If you need to apply a deductible, remember your option is where?
Yep.
Yep. And if you needed to update a payment table,
Right here.
and why would you update a payment table? Or when would you not update a payment table?
When would you not? If
Hmm.
well, if it's regular insurance, there wouldn't be a payment table, right? Or I mean, if everything's correct, or if everything's 100.
Typically, yeah, typically not. You would want to make sure not to ever update a payment table if the payment is changed because of a deductible or a code has been downgraded. So a common one is composites. You wouldn't want to click on update payment table if you're posting payment for composite fillings because most likely those were downgraded to an amalgam fee.
Got it.
So that's not the correct fee. So otherwise, if the payment is consistent and the codes haven't changed, the payments haven't been downgraded for any reason, or a deductible hasn't been taken out, then you could go ahead and update the payment table if you wanted to.
Okay.
Just makes your treatment planning a little bit more accurate when you update those because, like we were talking about before, if insurance pays $3 less on a procedure than you think they will, it's good to know that because then you can go ahead and collect that from your patient.
Okay. Right. That makes sense. Now, how do we, now
Okay?
is his plan not a? It's not. We didn't put a deductible, did we?
We didn't put a deductible.
Okay.
Mm-mm. So if all of this looks good, you would go ahead and enter all of your payments, and then you could say, okay,
Now, if there was a deductible, the this would already be included, or will we always have to apply it?
you would apply it.
Okay.
So your treatment plan will estimate the deductible or not estimated deductible. So your treatment plan will reflect whether there's a deductible that's estimated that patient will need to pay, and that'll be included in their patient portion. But then once insurance actually pays you and you see that they did apply a deductible, you'll want to apply it here. That way the system stops estimating that a deductible needs to be paid.
Got it.
So that's your way of letting the system know, okay, this is satisfied and we're good.
Okay.
Okay. Usually the patient would have already paid for that in their patient portion. So they typically wouldn't have an additional balance because they would have paid, $50 more than their normal patient portion to account for that deductible.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So are you pretty comfortable with looking at this invoice, seeing where the insurance claim was, seeing the payments, knowing the difference between the insurance payment and patient payment? Are you good with all this so far?
Yep.
Okay, don't forget right next to that invoice, you have your little superhero calculator. So if you click on that, especially if patient is really kind of diving into their payments, they just are really particular and they want to know just exactly where something is coming from, you can click on your superhero calculator and it breaks it down a little bit further for you so that you can tell patient exactly by line item what insurance should pay, exactly by line item what a deductible would be applied to, and by line item what the patient is paying for each procedure.
Okay.
Okay. Common question is, can we print this out? At this time, there is not an availability to print this superhero calculator out for your patients, but I believe that you can. The offices have found some kind of way to either copy it or use the snippet tool or something
Yeah. So like
to
I'm
like,
doing that right now. So see, I can just there you go. Just screen
right.
captured it. So
Exactly.
okay.
So, it takes an extra step, and I believe offices have put that in as a suggestion because, most patients are really excellent to work with, but there are definitely some that would want to see this line by line.
Okay.
So you can copy it or use your snippet tool for now until they update that and allow you to print it out.
Okay.
Okay. When you're done here, you can go ahead and say, okay.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Let's click on that one more time. I just want to revisit one thing really quickly. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind when you're looking at this, up at the top in the patient column, it says less adjustments. So if you've told mom that she's going to get a 10% discount, or if this is an insurance that you're doing a write-off for, all of your numbers are going to be correct, but there is nowhere on here that shows that adjustment.
Okay.
Okay, so the total owing will be right, but it just doesn't reflect it visibly on here. So especially if you have someone new up front and they're trying to look at this and explain to a patient, I worked with many patients treatment planning, and I can tell you they will catch it in an instant if numbers don't match up. So it's important that everybody that's looking at this and talking to patients knows that this does not account for write-offs or credits or adjustments that you might be giving to the patient on top of what they already owe.
Okay, that's actually a good thing because then you can show this to them and let them know what the regular cost is.
Right,
Right.
exactly. But if you've told them they're going to get a 10% discount and then they go up front and the person up front doesn't know that and just tells them, what this says, they're going to be like, well, where's my 10%? Well, she's looking. I don't know. It's not in here. I don't know what happened to your 10%. So just know
Got
that
it.
that does not show any kind of adjustments. It also doesn't show insurance write-offs. So same thing, even if patient's not going to owe anything, it doesn't show, there's nowhere on here that says this is going to be a write-off for your patient.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. You can go ahead and close out of it then.
Okay.
Okay. So now we've done a full workflow with Theo here. How do you feel about everything so far?
Feel pretty good.
Okay. Remember, you have your account summary at the bottom. It's not going to show a lot right here for Theo because he doesn't have a lot in here. But once you start using the software, you'll use that account summary just to see basic balance information. It's going to show a total balance. So if that says $550, you then can look up at your invoices and it states that, it's paid, waiting on insurance or patient portion or whatever the case may be to try to figure out where that balance is coming from.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Where would you go at the end of the day to check all of your insurance claims? Do you remember?
Reports or all claims?
Close. Yep. All claims.
Yep.
Perfect. So you have your claims here. Obviously, right now they're all invalid, but you should not be having lots of invalid claims when you actually get started with the software. It's common to have a few just as you're getting adjusted to entering things in. One thing about this screen is if you have these, like for instance, these invalid claims, if we went back to Theo, Braxton, Candlestick, and Tomater, and we changed everything we needed to change to make those claims go through correctly, the invalid claims are still going to show here. You can't delete them off of the screen. Okay, so you'll see, for instance, with Theo, you'll see his claim, Delta Dental, invalid, and then you should see another claim for Theo that says submitted or in batch or scheduled to send.
Okay.
Okay, now again, you should not have a just huge, vast majority of invalid claims where that would be that big of an issue. I have seen some offices, particularly when they're doing a conversion, something's wrong with their like the way they're putting in their insurance. They're not doing it right, and so all of their claims are invalid. If you let that go for too long, now you have a full screen of invalid claims, and those don't disappear off of this screen, so it's hard to keep up with them. So I tell you all that just to tell you, whenever you're actually sending claims for patients, check this screen often, and if you see that more often than not your claims are coming back invalid, you need to kind of do some digging and figure out why that's happening. If it's not a simple fix like someone didn't enter everything in insurance correctly or a zip code wasn't entered or something like that, if you can't figure it out, call customer service. Don't wait. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So also in this screen, remember you have your filters at the top. So if you're looking for something specific, you can always filter. If you're following up on predeterminations, you can filter for that, eligibility or claims. And then do you remember how to send your claims at the end of the day?
Can send all batch claims.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That's perfect. And then do you remember where do you view the explanations for all these statuses? Do you remember?
The
So like if you got a weird status under claim status, there's somewhere on this screen that you can look to give you an explanation.
um,
I'm
status.
testing.
Oh, this is good. Let's filtering for
You're so
here.
close. Yes.
There we go.
Yep, exactly. So if you're just getting started sending claims in your software and you get something weird that says forwarded or anything like that and you just don't really know what it means, you can always come up to the little I here and it'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay. To print a blank claim form, remember you can go down to the very bottom of your screen. It's not very common that you'll actually need one of these, but sometimes you do. So if you need a blank claim form, you can print it off there.
Okay.
And then other than that, I think we've covered everything. Do you have any questions about any parts of the software so far?
Nope, not right now.
Okay, we've covered pretty much everything. So we have billing, we have profile, we have charting covered, files and letters. Remember, you have your correspondence module over on the right in the Sidekick. So that'll track your anything that happens to your appointment. It's actually in the Sidekick there under files and
Oh, okay.
letters. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to see when an appointment was changed or made or updated, you can always click on correspondence. That will also tell you what emails have been sent. If you send login information for the portal, which we'll go over in your forms training, you can view all that stuff here in correspondence. Okay. And then as far as forms goes, do you want to go ahead and set up a training for forms?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's today? You want to do for? Let's see. Friday. Either, I guess tomorrow or Friday. It doesn't make a difference.
I'm actually out until Tuesday the 8th. I'm moving this weekend. Ugh.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's right. I think you told me that. So whenever your earliest is, would that be Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday. Yeah, I have both of those. I have Tuesday at 3 o'clock my time, which is what time for you?
4.
What time is it for you now? 4. That might be a little bit late. I have Wednesday,
Oh,
2 o'clock my
did
time.
you hear that little bell?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that means the stock market's closed. Nice.
Good to know.
Right. You would have thought that was me agreeing to that time, but it was really a stock market closing.
I actually
um,
thought it was going to be Theo playing with something.
that's funny. No, Theo's actually with Brooke in the other room. The let's do 4 on Tuesday. That's good. Or is it
4 on Tuesday?
Yeah, 3 your time.
Okay, that sounds good. So it'll be an hour and a half. It might not take quite that long, but you're going to love forms. They work really cool in Curve. So I'm going to go ahead and put you in on Tuesday the 8th at 4 your time, 3 my time.
Okay.
And then, if anything comes up and we need to change this, just send me an email and I'll be happy to adjust it if we need to. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, you did really good. Good luck on your search for an assistant. I know that's a big, big deal. Doctors' assistants are like their right hands.
Well, I feel like I mean, as I'm like looking for the assistants, I'm thinking to myself, I probably should find my administration person first, because a really good one would probably be able to search and find an assistant for me.
That's true. And lots of times front office started off as assistants. So at the very least, they maybe could do some light sterilization for you if you need them to fill in before you actually get an assistant hired.
Right. Exactly.
I started off as an assistant. I hated it.
Okay.
I moved up to the front office as quickly as I could.
Nice.
So you might find somebody like that at least knows some basics, how to break down a room or something like that.
Right. Exactly.
I would look at that Dental Post app. I know that myself and a lot of people that I know in dentistry, they use that just for, I even still to this day have just job postings emailed to me just based off of my area. I'm not looking for a job, obviously, but I keep it active just to know what's going on out there. It's
Right.
important.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it today. So thank you for that recommendation.
No problem, doctor. I'll talk to you again next week. If you need anything between now and then, you can send me an email, okay?
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye-bye.